You're listening to the G&D Show with Govinda and Dan of City of Bristol College. If you've got any comments or questions for us to read out on the show, then email us at thegdshowbristol@gmail.com. Again, that's thegdshowbristol@gmail.com. Let's get on with the show.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the G&D Show. My name is Dan.
My name's Gigi.
Superb. This week we are going to talk about Gen Z. Gen Z. Because someone actually sent me an article at work and I had a look at it and I was like, actually some of the things in here are worth talking about. It's something that everyone should be aware of for a number of reasons, which we'll get into. But first, I've said to Gigi that I'm going to arrogantly use a quote of my own. Not that I want to become someone where you Google them and go, hey, who's that person? Oh, look at the quote they left. But just because actually, to me, it lands and makes a hell of a lot of sense. So the quote is as follows. Our desire for normalcy and order will be our failing to adapt to cultural and social change. So that's a quote. Gigi, how do you immediately respond to that?
Well, first, I'd like to hear that again because that's a long quote, and then I can obviously tell you what I got from that or what resonates. So, yeah, go for it again, please.
So, our desire for normalcy and order will forever be our failing to adapt to cultural and social change.
Yeah, okay. So, what I'm getting from that is actually it's quite evident in the world out here is that we are, without a doubt, at the moment, historically going through so many shifts and changes really quickly, actually. If you look at what's happened over the last 3 or 4 years, especially what's happened during, lockdown and COVID, stuff that I don't even need to really bring up because it's glaringly obvious and it's been in the limelight for so long. I think ultimately, yes, it's correct. I think one of our human needs is comfort, is knowing for sure its order, its structure, right? But obviously, focusing too much on that has its downsides. In fact, a lot of negativity around it as well, because you're right, Dan. What I'm getting from this quote is actually what's going on outside in the world is that people would genuinely find it very difficult to adjust to cultural changes or, changes in general, period, right? We're not, it's very hard to adapt to that because, like I said, we want comfort. We want to be sure about things because it makes us feel safe and secure. But that safety and security might not necessarily usher us into something new, and change. That's what I'm getting from it.
Nice. Yeah, that's fundamentally where I'm coming from. We want to build structure and so on, but I think it's a question of how far that structure goes. Do we want it to become so rigid that it almost turns into a safety net? But actually, what that safety net really represents is boundaries from external influence that could actually positively impact and change the way that we live. So we want to be careful about how we look at what's normal and what order is. I mean, certainly, as you said, out in the world, with regards to COVID over the last year, I heard so many people say, I can't wait for things to go back to normal. And that really bothered me because I was like, but normal wasn't great. It
Yeah.
wasn't great. Normal effectively has made this pandemic actually quite a lot worse for many people than it needed to be. Normal has exacerbated a lot of problems in this. What we need to do is make changes for the better, as a society, as a community, as a collective, and as individuals. Because the desire for us to sit in the same thing over and over again, to me, is, of course, as the quote goes, a reflection of insanity. I actually had someone leave a comment on a TikTok post where they were like, why would you need to look at any more in life if you've got a nice house, a nice family, and a nice job? They literally said, why would you need to? And that just, I almost, had a shiver up my spine. I was like, God, is that it? Is that all? Is that it? That's what you want from this world? That's what you want from this experience of life? That's it? That's the ceiling you're planning to reach to? And again, I was like, the idea that we have this sense of normalcy, of order, really just limit ourselves in our ability to experience what this world has to offer. And there is, I'm sure you can agree, Gigi, an infinite amount of magnificent experiences and things that we can learn, know, see, feel, that we limit ourselves from because we've gone, no, this is it. This is the way that I want to do these things. And to me, I'm just like, well, yikes. And of course, that unfortunately puts into the areas of social issues that we're facing at the moment, where even if a person did say, like, that's all I want, and I know that's all I want because I've experienced all the things and I'm happy in this space, I also acknowledge that that's not just the only way for people to live. Other people can also live in other ways. It's just the way I choose. But no, it's like, no, this is the way to do it. This is the way to do it. There's only this way to do it. And everyone needs to do this because that's the normal thing to do. And that creates order because then everyone's doing the same thing and we're all fine. So that's why, yeah, that's where it comes from for me. And again, in terms of the cultural shifts that have been taking place throughout, human history, it shows that the biggest resistance to those changes are actually people who strive for that normalcy, who strive for that order. It's always been, they've been the biggest resistance. It's not been the person who's actively against it. It's the person who's actively apathetic in change. They're the most resistant.
Yeah, I'm seeing what you're saying. Definitely, yeah, I see that, and you're right, and wonderfully put. Actually, to add a little sense of balance to what we're bringing ahead as well, is it's absolutely true, as you said, Dan. That yes, that might be right for someone, but that's not right for you. Yeah. So by us, because it is a social thing at the end of the day. So we still need to respect that everyone has their own opinions and their own sense of direction in this process, and that's fine as well.
You're listening to the G&D show with Dan and Gigi, the two catch-up coordinators at City of Bristol College. We, of course, offer one-to-one consultation, one-to-one coaching to students and staff if you're so interested, to help you work on your, let's say, professional development and sometimes personal development as well. If you want to get in touch with us in one-to-one conversations or you want to book us in for a group session, email us at thegdshowbristol@gmail.com. That's the thegdshowbristol@gmail.com. Let's get back to the show. Okay, so the article that I was sent was an opinion piece written by someone called Carl Pupe. And the title of the article was Colleges Are Teaching Generation Z, the Crisis Generation, which I thought was quite an alarming way of putting it. But they start by saying the recession, Brexit, and austerity have shaped Generation Z's view of the world. And in this article, they go into a few of the things that it's probably worth noting about Generation Z. And that's pretty much why I wanted to bring this conversation to this episode with you, Gigi, and obviously to you, the listener, because there's a force of habit that every generation has, and it's ingrained in us, it's socialized in us, and it's so destructive, where we actually minimize the value of new generations as they enter, the human realm, the world in which we live. And actually, I mean, this isn't really relevant, but I'll also say we do that to the elderly as well. As they get older, we kind of have this language and attitude towards them, which feels a bit more disposable, which is horrendous. It's not pleasant at all. But I think it's important now to really speak to putting that to a stop, because we all, grew up as youngsters at some point. We all had our opinions, we all had our feelings, we all had our thoughts about the way the world we wanted the world to be, and the way that we wanted our personal spaces to be, and the friends we wanted to have. And that all culminated into what effectively we wanted as individuals growing up. And because the internet is here and Gen Z are very, very present there, not only do they have a lot to say, but they're actually very, very much informed on what they have to say. And our diminishing of their presence and their voice really does us all a massive disservice. I've seen it happen in real time. I've seen it happen on the internet. And I know that it's just happening because, again, some people are still stuck in this mindset of, oh, you're just a kid, you don't know about life yet. That's not necessarily completely wholly true. So I really wanted to speak to this whole thing directly. First of all, Gigi, what perspectives do you have? What things do you want to share in this area?
Well, straight away, my obvious bias for the listeners out there, because I'd like to just enter this with complete transparency. So my main concern that keeps me up on most nights, and Dan, I've said this to you before, is economy, money, poverty, and the distribution of wealth in the country. Yeah. So instantly, when you say Gen Z, some neurons start firing in my brain. My eyes light up, as in, well, you know, this is a generation that's going to have more money worries than anyone ever, period, yeah? And as a professional and as a person who's interested in this area, I can't turn a blind eye on this. And I'm very open to listening more and more to this, right? This is a genuine concern to me, yeah? And obviously I do have solutions. I've spoken to you probably about these things, about what I'm doing behind closed doors and privately as well, which will come into more fruition. But that for me is a massive concern, only because I've spoken to cousins that are technically in Gen Z, and they've all had this, I don't want to say doom and gloom, but I have to kind of say this. There's been this defeatist approach, like, oh, GG, man, like, we don't know where we're going to go. We might not be able to afford a house, right? We might not be able to have a family. I might not be able to live on my own, say if I'm a very independent spirited person, yeah? These are all considerations to take into place. And I can't take for granted that these weren't issues that I was dealing with as a child. But that doesn't mean I'm going to be ignorant and forget about this stuff and say, oh, it doesn't exist, because it clearly does, right? In fact, yesterday I have a friend of my cousin's who's around, 22, 21, something like that.
Yeah.
She messaged me saying that her biggest concern in the world right now is the fact that she's just got constant money issues and worries, right? So this is what comes for me. I know that's not just a problem in Gen Z or the problem in Gen Z. I get that. It's more complex than that. But of course, that's what sticks out to me. And this is something that, I see time and time again.
Yeah, it really does. It really does persist. So I'm going to quickly share. I should have done this at the beginning. Excuse me. I'm going to quickly share some statistics about Gen Z that's worth pointing out. First of all, it's important for us all to know that Gen Z are people born between 1997 and 2012. So right now you're looking at anywhere between kind of 8-9 years old and 23, 24 years old. That's the Gen Z era. And I've got some stuff here. So from Campaign, the website Campaign, this is UK based only, and I want to make it important that it was UK based only, because it can really get lost in the source if we, only use, let's say, US statistics or global statistics and so on. So this article here says the following: Gen Zers do recognize the power that comes with having access to so much information. Sometimes they find it overwhelming, which is completely understandable, right? But mostly this translates into a drive to learn constantly. Then an obligation to transform what they learn into meaningful action. Now, I'm pausing on that part there because I think this is important for people who work in education to truly understand about this generation, which, again, I say quite sanctimoniously that both you and I, Gigi, probably already knew about, right? We were already aware that young people are more driven now, collectively, generally, more driven now with the information they have to actually do something about it. And the resistance comes in when adults who, obviously will have a different value base, different view on life, will put boundaries up to that. You can't do that. That's not the way the world works. That's not how it is. It is what it is. All those kind of really unhelpful statements that really come in passing, but actually put up really impactful barriers to young people. The vast majority of Gen Zers globally believe it's important to develop new skills throughout life. That's 79%. And stay well informed about things. That's 77%. So that tells us that a large majority of Gen Zers like to be up on their information. And I've had conversations with young people where this is absolutely the case. I've spent the last 5 years learning, and reading up and listening to audiobooks and podcasts and so on. And then there are these teenagers, I don't say that disparagingly, I say it, with respect, who just are able to offload this same information. Bam, 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 bam. They get it. They are so switched on. It's insane. And actually, it's intimidating, to be really quite frank with you, which I think is also what a lot of adults maybe aren't ready for, is how much more young people know than us at the age they're at. it's incredible and really impressive and incredibly inspiring and encouraging. Finally, this is a proactive group of young people empowered to stand up for beliefs, causes, and campaigns. So what we are looking at is a generation of activists, fundamentally. And actually, I know we had a conversation about this, didn't we, Gigi? And I said to you, Gen Z are looking at the world almost as a third party. You know, they're trapped in the system of education at the moment, and they're slowly seeping out into the working world. But because of their third party perspective and how they're viewing everything via the internet, they're basically looking at us and going, "This is nonsense. What? Why are you doing things like this? This doesn't make any sense at all." With all the information they're getting, they're going, "This doesn't work. It clearly doesn't work." You know, my dad is constantly stressed from having to work like 12-hour shifts just to make sure we can get food on the table. You know, my parents don't really have a great relationship because it turns out maybe they haven't understood the fundamentals of what a good, healthy relationship looks like, right? My sister's getting bullied at school for being a girl, and then she's also told to, you know, monitor how she dresses. What the hell is going on out here? So it's not even that Gen Z are having stuff happen to them. They're literally watching effectively the mess that we have created and going, "No, I don't want to be part of that. Change it. Change the system. What's the matter with you?" So there's another statement here in this article which says the following: "The pandemic has also heightened this generation's passion for sustainability. Globally, they are 1.2 times more likely than average to say it's become more important to reduce their environmental impact. In the UK, 72% of Gen Zers say they've become more interested in activism and social causes since the pandemic began." So again, that completely fuels the idea and the narrative that Gen Z are coming for us, right? And in a way that I'm like, "Hey, come, please, hurry up, let's go." You know, they're really, you know, fueled by this, and I think we want to be able to see that more in young people, because it would be so easy for us to fall into the trap of thinking that young people are just, you know, going through hormonal changes and they're just having, you know, emotional difficulties and yada yada. Yes, that may be true, but that doesn't invalidate what they're saying, how they're feeling, and what they're trying to achieve, even from the place where they're not even part of the working world yet. You know what I mean? Like, there's some serious young people energy out there, right? That actually is a force for some really good positive change. And I just think that fundamentally we as people who work in education want to acknowledge that and appreciate that, and as parents and as people in society, we just want to acknowledge that. I can imagine there are some people out there who are thinking, "Well, I saw a bunch of young people hanging around out Alster on their bikes and they were up to nothing and blah blah blah." Man, let a child be. let a kid play, man. Let them be. Like, they ain't harming you. They ain't causing no trouble. Leave them be, right? Let them do their thing. We all hung out outside at one point. I think that's fair to say. So, hello. So yeah. I mean, that's something else that I wanted to share, just to be clear, because we're not just speaking from a place of our experience. This is stuff that has been documented, has been, you know, shown and looked at and researched. So I wanted to share that with you as well. And what else have you got there in your think box, Gigi?
I've got is the future and what Gen Z are talking about. I've been taking note of this a lot. What I see a lot of is what COVID has done is, again, this is not me putting a positive spin on it. What I've seen abundantly clearly is that, like you said, normal is probably not something we can go back to, or is probably something we do want to go back to. And I'll tell you a couple of reasons why. I'm very much into businesses and entrepreneurial endeavors. And I'm seeing some very good business-minded people who are actually my age. So they're not even Gen Z people. They're clued on. They've got their finger on the pulse. And what they're saying is that the way we make money and the way we've paused during COVID and we've gone into an introspective situation where we're questioning things, well, because that's what happens when stillness happens. I know people get freaked out by it. I get that. I'm not saying it's cool, right? What I see a lot of is people asking the following questions. And not directly to me, but just in general. How are we going to sustainably make money? Yeah. How can I own a business that is ethical, but also not marketing laden and very gung ho in its approach? As in, buy this. If you don't buy this, then you are inferior. You know, that kind of crap. Yeah. I can say that. Can I?
I
The
mean,
C
you just
word.
did it, man. It's
I
all
just
good.
did. Sorry, I'm getting heated and passionate here. Yeah, clearly. Business models as well. What are your business models? Because they are becoming equally more about values. And one thing I absolutely adore and respect about what Gen Z are saying is, dude, I don't want to buy your products if you're not investing in me.
Yeah.
Why am I going to invest in you? What's giving me a reason to buy? And I know to a certain type of person that might sound like a very pompous, entitled, arrogant opinion, but I don't think it is.
No.
If I'm out, Dan, if I'm out and I've got the next best product, it's not enough for me to claim that is the next best product. I want to know who my demographic is. How can I reach out to them? How can I build up relationships? Hey, I've got a friend out there who's got a fantastic business, Dan. Do you know what he does every single day in the evening time? He calls his clients up. He phones them. Yeah. Not in an aggressive way. It's like, hey, how are you doing with this product? Is it working for you? You know, what have you enjoyed about it? What haven't you enjoyed about it? And I think that is what the Gen Z people are really positively shifting in commerce, e-commerce, business, money. And I love that. Yeah, because that's going to expand out onto the retail as well, retail and high street. Yeah, we all know retail is a tricky situation. Yeah, it's been open during COVID, but we also know that is not sustainable. And I also encourage everyone to have a retail job at one point in their life, just to experience that. It's not a great sensation.
Work with the general public, absolutely.
Work with the general public.
100%,
it will really give you some amazing skills. Yeah, and that's not me being old fashioned or anything. That's just me saying you will pick up some really cool people skills. You know, it doesn't, even if you're introvert or extrovert, because actually I've seen introverts work really well in that environment too, where they've been able to step back and listen and ask questions more. This is the upside of being an introvert. But that's for another topic. So that's what I'm seeing, Dan, and I'm honestly super excited about that. I'm very excited because I'm not going to mention any names, but we've got a world-leading company at the moment who's thinking like that at the moment. We got our friend Gary V who's talking about that. He said, throw out your marketing tactics out of the way. Gen Z know how to build relationships with people. And this is coming from genuine empathy, by the way. I think that's how you're going to be able to trade and make business. Because honestly, I'm not a Gen Z person, Dan. You're not a Gen Z person. Yet me and you would definitely invest or buy something from a company that has similar values to us. How about that?
Yeah. There's a little bit of grey in the millennial Gen Z crossover. There's a little bit of grey.
Yes, a little bit of grey, yeah.
So you will find there's more millennials because, of course, we've also, as millennials, we've been hit pretty hard by recessions. We were, in our youth when 9/11 happened. There was the bombing in London. So we've had traumatic, world-changing events take place. Obviously, bigger things have happened throughout history. Don't get me wrong, but we've also been hit with some really, really hard times. Austerity's hit us as well, right?
Yeah.
A lot of millennials, don't have savings, don't have pension, probably will be working right to their last breath, So we're also a little bit, dare I use the word, radicalized by the system to kind of go, yeah, this ain't right. So there are some of us who definitely understand Gen Z and feel them because we're like, no, we agree with you. Absolutely. Yeah. We may have realized too late. And that's why we're now kind of going, hey, Gen Z, let's go. That energy you've got. Absolutely. I just want to translate this, everything you said there into
of course, Dan, please do.
Education capacity though, because it's exactly the same function we want to look at as educators. Is if we can't connect or vibe with where Gen Zers are coming from, because actually there's another really important part in the opinion piece I've got here, which is so true, that they're pessimistic about authority. Right? They're pessimistic about authority, and rightfully so. If they have all of the information available to them, if they're planning to take action, right, and they're watching as members of authority across all different contexts not respecting the power that they have, they're going to start questioning authority. And unfortunately for all of us, authority also is represented by our parents, by their parents, by teachers, by staff, by bosses, by managers, leaders, all sorts. So we've got to really respond to that and go, yeah, do you know what? the do this or else process ain't going to work anymore. We're going to have to start giving some whys. We're going to have to start explaining things to students. We're going to have to start giving justification behind our reasoning. Because I know, and this is also something that happened in my schooling, and I'm sure you probably experienced it too. Back in the day, the teaching method was very much, and I know it still happens today, it was very much like, you know, do this. Why? Just do it. But why? Just do it. I don't want your questions. I don't want your conversations. It's not a conversation. Just do it. You know, and that again can easily put a person in a place of, I really am losing respect for authority here. You're just telling me to do something. You're expecting me to just jump, and you're telling me to jump. You expect me just to ask how high? No. This ain't the army, my friend. This is education. Let's relax for a second. So I think we want to be able to switch on and in a best capacity, right? And start making those changes to acknowledging that Gen Z don't rule the roost, but it is indeed a collaborative effort in working with them, right? They have their perspectives, they have their values, they have their points of view. We should have been doing this for years in education, right? But the system is what it is, and there you go. But fundamentally, we want to see the change in that. We want to see more justification for it. We want to be able to explain things to them so that it makes sense, and also so that at least there's an element of respectability as a two-way street. Because for us to be powerful educators, we need minds to be switched on in the room. And if they're not switched on in the room because we haven't acknowledged or respected or taken time to understand who's in the room, well, what's the point? You're talking to a brick wall. And I imagine a lot of teachers might feel that way. So hopefully they hear this and understand that maybe, just maybe, it's not because the students are lazy or, you know, they're disengaged or something's going on at home. It might be what's happening in that room ain't connecting with them. They ain't vibing with it.
Yeah.
So we switch up the way that we approach things. I've had moments in sessions quite openly where I have. It was a workshop about 3 weeks ago where I was talking and I noticed slowly that the class slowly disengaged. And eventually they started talking to each other. And I stopped and I was like, and obviously there were two options. You either go, quiet down, you know, do you mind? I'm talking. That's really disrespectful. Yeah. But what I said was, is this boring? And the speed at which they all arrived in the room, literally, they all just went, boom, no? What do you mean? I said, I'm not, you know, I'm not feeling attacked here, nothing personal. I just want to check, is this information boring to you? And I want to know, because I want you to have the information, but if it means you disconnect or you disengage, that might tell me that actually the way that I'm doing this or the information itself isn't of interest to you. And they were like, oh my God, no, sorry. No, it's absolutely fine. For the rest of that session, I had their whole attention. And one of them actually said at the end, no teachers actually ever said sorry to us before. They probably had, they probably didn't recognize it. But they literally, it was explaining, you know, opening up the problem. It was like that whole thing of the problem in the room was not me or them. It was just the environment itself needed to be addressed. So let's address the environment in the room and, you know, reassess. Yeah?
Yeah, sure.
That's it. Having a conversation. Of course, that's very easy. That's a one-off situation. I'm sure a lot of educators out there listening to this going like, all right, Dan, that sounded like it went well for you. I've tried that and da-da-da happened. All right, it's not going to work. But what I'm talking about here is looking at the ways that we approach circumstances, looking at the way we approach Gen Z. There's Dexter on the mic one time. Hello, mate. Welcome to the show, my man. It's clear you wanted some attention.
He sounds like a purring tiger.
Oh no, he's a loud purrer. His purr is our alarm. He thinks he's being quiet. He ain't. But no, we've got to respect everyone in the room, right? And I think that also sets a challenge for teachers. We could obviously go into the lifestyles of teachers, which I think may be good for next week's episode, actually.
Yeah.
You reckon?
Okay.
We could absolutely talk about that. Because it is a two-way street, and I don't want to sound like I'm just batting at staff members in education, being like, you ain't doing your job right. If that's what you've got from what I've said, I apologize. That's not at all what I'm communicating. I'm actually really encouraging a diversity of thought, diversity of approach, a new way of looking at a classroom dynamic. Because certainly this generation, more so it sounds like than any other generation, have some real strong feelings about some real important stuff. And if we're not connecting with them on that level, we've lost them. They're just going to see us as another person who apparently is okay with the mess that they're seeing us exist in, which means that fundamentally they don't care about us. What have we got to teach them, really? apart from how to
True.
be part of the mess. So yeah, that's my piece. We've got like 2 minutes left, dude. Any final bits
Okay.
you want to share?
Any final bits? Yeah, I mean, as our listeners can conclude with this podcast, is that this situation, just like most situations, is very complex, and there's a lot of nuances, and we have tried our best to give you compact, bite-sized chunks of what we're saying, but of course, there's never going to be enough. So if you are curious and you want to know more, say you're in education or you are someone listening to this and wants to be informed more, please feel free to have a little look around. Of course, we can probably even put that link in our podcast, can't we, of the article we're referring to, Dad?
Yes,
if people want to listen to it, right?
Yeah.
Just in case you're thinking, what are we even talking about? Is this just something we made up overnight and we're reading from our telephone screens? Yeah. And now, if you are Gen Z people, and you are genuinely worried about your future, I'm not going to be that person to tell you to just calm down and not worry about it, because I can totally understand how these experiences are all valid to you and are very meaningful. Who am I to say that they're not important, right? Exactly. But if you want a talk, not even necessarily a one-to-one coaching conversation with me and Dan, please do reach out to us. We'd like to think that we facilitate growth, not tell you what to do. So, if you want to talk about things that are troubling you and you feel no one really understands, and that's another point. I get a lot of, when I repeat back to people from Gen Z, the main thing they say is they just don't feel understood or misunderstood, right? And I can see that. So yeah, open up a dialogue with us, talk to us. We'd be more than happy to listen to what you're saying. Don't think we're ignorant to this or we don't see this happen. It happens more regularly than we think. And yes, teachers out there, it's not our intention to bash education. We have very opinionated views, of course, and we don't hide from that. But this is an offer to collaborate with you guys. I no longer teach. Dan doesn't teach, so we want to work with you, not against you. Let's come up with something. It's very important, and it's nice that you spoke about disengagement in the classroom, because actually disengagement just doesn't happen overnight. It happens for many reasons. So yeah, how about yourself, Dan? Do you want to conclude this with a couple of seconds left?
No, man, you said it all.
Yeah,
said it all. Perfect segue into the ad, though.
Hey.
You're listening to the G&D Show with Dan and Gigi, two catch-up coordinators at City of Bristol College. We are here to facilitate your development, your growth as a learner, as a human being, maybe as a staff member as well. If you are interested in any one-to-one conversations or fancy a group session from the other subject, then contact us at thegdshowbristol@gmail.com. That again is thegdshowbristol@gmail.com. Let's get back to the show. It's Would You Rather time, baby. Here we go.
Oh, no.
Have you got anything?
Well, I haven't got anything, buddy. Do you want it? Do you want it?
Oh.
Do you want it Gen Z related?
What is he like? Yeah, see what you can find. You probably end up on the same place as me, to be honest.
Yeah, I know.
So go on, have a look, see what you got.
Yeah,
there.
I've got BuzzFeed one, and that's the one, isn't it?
All right. Okay.
Yeah, let's go for it. Just let me know what you've got, because I don't want to.
I'll read them out, and then you can pick a different one. We'll just do that, because I looked at them. I was like, all right, we can vibe some of these. So you go first, man. You pick one. Pick one first.
Okay. There's quite a lot, actually.
Singing for the intermission, just taking time, singing for the intermission.
Oh, yes, okay. I've got one. So, would you rather give up phones or computer/laptops?
Nah, man, don't do that to me. Oh, come on. Oh, why you make me make these decisions? You've really messed me up there, because I have a very strong relationship with both for different reasons.
Yeah, I can imagine.
For different reasons, man. I said to you, this computer's been with me for nearly a decade. I love this. This is my baby. I built you myself. I love you. I'd have to give up the computers. Because my phone is where Like, well, I mean, first of all, my phone is where all my relationships with my friends are.
Yeah. Okay.
It's where my very lucrative TikTok account is as well. I'm very proud
Yeah.
of that. But it's sad to lose my computer because I've had from the early days of my gaming life, I've had just a great time. And the fact that I am comparing it to my relationship with my friends and everything else only dictates how great my time has been with my games, my computer. It's also been there for me in terms of the presentations I've developed, the seminars I've run, the workshops I've done. Like, it's really been an integral part of the joy and entertainment in my life. So it's really hard to let it go. But thankfully, the reality is I'm not actually going to have to do that. But you scared me for a second there, man. I really thought about it. I wasn't comfortable with that. I didn't like that question. So yeah, it would have to be the computer.
Okay.
No, baby, no. You'll never leave me. No. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm going to throw this one at you. Who would you rather get mistaken for? The Fortnite generation, right? And Fortnite's in quotation marks. Or the open quote, broken lazy, close quote generation?
Fortnite generation, definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I've played a bit of Fortnite. Like, I know what Fortnite is.
I still haven't played it, man.
Yeah. My cousins were really into it, so I got into it. I mean, I got into it with that funny dance that they do. I don't even know what it's called. There's quite a few. I was like, okay, let's just get into this. Yeah.
Okay.
So definitely.
Fair enough. Cool. Yeah, I still haven't played it. No, I never really appealed to
I think that's going to be a shocker for most people. Gigi
What?
playing Fortnite. What? He's played Fortnite.
You played Fortnite, man. Well, I mean, it's a very, very popular game. In fact, me saying that I have played video games my whole life and I've not played Fortnite probably is quite shocking as well. It's like, so hang on, are you even a real gamer? Okay, fine. Okay, cool. Your turn. Go on.
So, Dan, would you rather, again, this is going to be ever so tricky for you again. I do apologize. Would you rather only be able to look at YouTube or only be able to look at Instagram?
YouTube. That was quite easy.
The YouTubes?
Yeah, man. Yeah, YouTube much more. The Instagram is such old news. In fact, they picked a really poor platform for that one. Like, if you'd have said TikTok, I would have actually had a bit more of a struggle with it because again, my feed is so informative. It's so informative, so educational, so awesome. It's great. Like, it's my feed.
So wait, are you saying if I gave you the choice between YouTube and TikTok?
We'll go with that one because
let's do that one. Let's do that.
Trash,
I know you're not an
Instagram.
Instagrammer.
I don't like Instagram.
Hey, Gigi likes Instagram, all right?
No, it's not.
I'm joking. My platform. Right. Okay. So yeah, let me read it back to you. So, would you rather, Dan, only be able to look at YouTube or only be able to look at TikTok?
Thank you. So that is harder because YouTube also has a world of information on it. It is so incredibly informative, but I don't produce content for YouTube. Obviously, we have the podcast show here, but I don't produce as much content for YouTube as I do for TikTok. If I still was doing my gaming channel, I would 100% say YouTube without question because I actually miss that, and I think when I'm older, I probably will jump back into that. But nah, like I would say YouTube if it was YouTube and TikTok. YouTube would go because I still have access to my audiobooks, my podcast, all that jazz.
Yeah.
TikTok's dope. I love it. I do like that app. I like it. But Instagram, cool. Put it to me personally, right? Put it in the bin. Put it straight in the bin. No, don't like it. I mean, I'm surprised I even use it, but yeah. That's my answer. That's what I would say. Okay, last one. Let's see. Actually, I feel like this is going to be quite easy for you.
That's alarming because then that means you know me way too much.
No. It's more like I don't. It's more like I feel like I know what your answer is going to be, but I'm going to ask you anyway and see how we go. So, would you rather have Disney Plus or Netflix?
Oh, that's so hard, man.
Okay.
That's too hard, that one. That's got to be the hardest one.
I was a bit challenged with this too, to be honest with you.
I'm way too challenged, man. I'm taken aback from this because actually people don't know. I actually really love Disney.
Okay.
I love Hercules, by the way, and The Lion King.
Yeah. I mean, come on. You can't not like The Lion King. If you don't like The Lion King, I'm sorry, but we can't be friends.
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast, though, just to let you know.
True.
All-time favorite. Grew up watching that with my little sister. Shout out to my little sister if she's listening.
Love
Big ups.
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast is amazing. So, okay, Disney versus Netflix. Oh God. See, the thing for me is, again, I don't want to get too into it, but for me, Netflix offers an opportunity for newer content. I know Disney pumps out new content and it's bloody amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But most of the stuff I go back and watch is just old stuff anyway, to be fair, you know, like Hunchback of Notre Dame and stuff, right?
Exactly.
And I know all of that stuff, you know, I know all about Esmeralda. So I'm not gonna lie, this is gonna sound
all about Esmeralda.
this is gonna sound really, really dumb and stupid, yeah, but it's gonna make people laugh, okay? I'm just gonna break up with the bit of humor. I actually was in love with Esmeralda when I was a kid. I ain't gonna lie.
Hey,
just putting it out there.
This might get awkward for people to hear, but
it is what it is.
It is. Nah, that's it.
It is
man.
what it is.
Absolutely.
It is what it is.
I mean, yeah. That's all.
Believe that.
That's what I'm gonna say.
So Dan, your answer, well, my answer would be, I'd say, I'd make do with that Disney Plus because I would need Netflix because it got some good documentaries on there.
Okay, I wanted to challenge that immediately, but fine.
That's
your take.
Okay.
No, it's your take. It's your take. You're allowed to have the take, man.
No, of course.
Would you rather?
No,
That's not okay.
no. Notice I said good. Notice I said good and not world class. Okay. I mean, I don't want to watch Super Size Me for the 100th time on Netflix.
Oh no, no. In fact, I haven't watched that once. There are a few documentaries I haven't seen on Netflix yet, but also I'm learning about some documentaries that aren't on Netflix that I do really, really want to see that are out there. So immediately, that's why I was like, oh, wait a minute, but actually no. You know, you mate, you want your documentaries? You got them. I mean, Tiger King's up there. How could you?
Tiger King, yeah.
How could you say no to that? Yeah, okay. All right. I wouldn't, I know. Okay then, fine. That's fine. All right then. Well, that concludes this episode of the G&D show. Do we have any passing statements for this episode? I know we don't do this every week, but
passing statements. Oh, you know what? I'm so blank right now, literally. That's hence why I've been talking about Disney movies more than I should be. I don't have any passing statements. Do you, Dan? You do, clearly.
I do, yeah. I was just putting it together in my head. It was
sure.
I'm tuning more into the word observe lately. Be observant, because I think in context of this conversation today, we're very quick to look and judge, right? And I know that's something that we can jump to quite quickly, but one of the things that has really empowered me in my understanding, my worldview, and things like that is observing. You know, observing things, which goes beyond just looking at something, right?
Yeah.
So I that's all I want to say. Observe. Okay. For sure. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening this week. It is a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from Gigi.
Peace out, y'all.
You've been listening to the G&D show. Thank you very much. If you've got any comments or questions, or if you're a student at City of Bristol College and you want some one-to-one conversations with myself or Govinda, then please do email us at thegdshowbristol@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in another episode.